Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Gigi and I'm not a professional cook. I'm just a girl that loves to eat. And today I want to show y'all how I make my meatloaf. So I pretty much got this based off of how my mom makes meatloaf, and I've just added my own little twist here and there over the past couple of years. And feel free to add or take away anything you like, but here's what I add to mine. In a large bowl, I like to mix together 2 pounds of ground beef. On this day, I was using ground chuck because the store did not have any ground beef, but I usually like to use 80-20 ground beef or 75-25, anything in that range is perfect. And then I add in 2 eggs and either 1 large onion or 1 small onion. It really doesn't matter, just whatever I have that day. And then I like to break my meat apart before I add in the seasonings, just so I can make sure all the seasonings are getting into every crack and crevice of the meat before I start to mix it. So I like to usually season my meatloaf with garlic pepper, garlic powder, a little bit of seasoned salt or Lawry's, whatever you can find. And then I usually go in with some Slap Ya Mama, but I have had a hard time finding the one that I like. So I found this Creole seasoning at Walmart and I wanted to try that. It actually worked out pretty good. It was a little bit salty, so just be careful. And I'm sorry that I cannot give you accurate measurements for the seasoning. Just start off with about a tablespoon of each and see if you can smell it. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how my mom taught me. If you can smell your seasonings, then you're doing a great job. I also like to go in with a couple squirts of barbecue sauce and a couple squirts of ketchup just to add a little bit of extra flavor. And then I'm going to crush up an entire sleeve of buttery crackers. This is like the off-brand, the Aldi version of the Toll House crackers, the club crackers. Sometimes I use a whole sleeve of saltines. I've even used Cheez-Its before. That tasted really well. You can also use breadcrumbs, but I think a sleeve of crackers makes this taste 10 times better. So I'm just going to beat the crap out of those, take some anger out, and just make sure there's no huge chunks of crackers, and just smush those up as fine as I can. And I'm going to add that into the meatloaf mixture. And at this point, you want to take off your rings, take off your jewelry, and just get in there and start folding all that seasoning, the crackers, the eggs, everything. Make sure you're getting up under that bowl. I like to make sure the eggs are very well incorporated and just get messy. That's really all you can do at this point. So I just get in there and mix it. Sometimes I use 2 hands. I was trying not to since I was also filming a TikTok and touching my phone. But I did mix everything together once it was nice and solid. I washed my hands and I got my pan ready. I have a meatloaf pan here and I sprayed it with some olive oil and I preheated my oven to 375. So at this point, I did smell my meatloaf again. I know that sounds crazy, but I could not smell all of the seasonings in there, and I could not smell the barbecue sauce. Once you make meatloaf a few times, you'll kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about, and you'll be able to taste the difference when you can't smell your seasonings and when you can. So I just added a little bit more of the seasoned salt and a little bit more of the Creole seasoning and some more barbecue sauce. And by the time I was finished mixing it up this time, I could definitely smell it. The barbecue was coming through, the seasoned salt was coming through, so I knew that it was ready to go in the pan. I always know my meatloaf is nice and mixed together as well when I can pick it up in one ball and move it to the pan. That means there's enough eggs and breadcrumbs. That means it's also not going to fall apart when you bake it. So I just like to put it in my pan and go around all the edges, kind of tucking the meat down in the sides, because a lot of grease is going to come up to the top and around the sides. And if you don't really create that little crevice on the edges, the oil will overflow into your oven. Now, the more y'all see me cook, the more you will realize how saucy I love my food. I am going to add some ketchup and barbecue now, and I'm going to add a glaze later as well with more sauce, but that's just me personally. So I'm going to add some ketchup and barbecue on top, pop this in the oven at 375 for about 45 minutes. And then after 45 minutes, I did take my meatloaf out. I like to drain some of that grease on there. I always make a mess. It never fails. It's so hard to drain a meatloaf without spilling it. It always happens, but nothing a quick paper towel can't solve. So I'm also going to make a glaze with more sauce for my meatloaf at this point. So I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, about a tablespoon or so of barbecue sauce, and a little over a tablespoon or so of ketchup, and I'm going to mix all of that together to make my glaze. If you are not a fan of sweet and savory together, completely skip the brown sugar part and you can just mix together ketchup or barbecue sauce. But my family, we love sweet and salty together, so I like to make the glaze with the brown sugar. If you have never tried it, definitely give it a try. It tastes so good. My mom was very shocked when she tried this. She absolutely loved it. She thought that the glaze was something very creative, but it tastes amazing. So I'm just gonna put that glaze on top and pop this back in for another 15 minutes. So here is the final product. Once it is out of the oven, I do try to drain off some more of that grease. And again, making a mess, trying not to lose all of my glaze, but I just get out as much as I can. And you don't want your meatloaf to sit in the grease at the bottom. It gives it a nasty texture, but this was everything I made with it. I know a lot of starches, but my friend brought over some mac and cheese that she really wanted me to make. So we had some cornbread, mashed potatoes, corn, mac and cheese, and the meatloaf. It tasted amazing. I love my meatloaf personally, and I hope you guys give it a try and love it as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. If there's something else you want to see me cook, let me know down in the comments below.